Hey everyone, welcome back to the Tactical Insight Show. We've got a really, really special episode today because we haven't got a game to break down. It is, it's the off season. I'm kind of missing it already, I have to be honest, Graham, but the transfer stuff is keeping us busy. We're going to be building what we want to see Arsenal do this summer, / what we kind of think they'll do. We are restricting ourselves, we're not adding Messi, Ronaldo and whoever we want to this squad. But we are going to have a bit of fun today. And it's good to be back with you, Graham. How you doing, mate?
I'm doing well. Looking forward to coming up here today and doing the show with you. 2 days to go to the transfer window. This is a massively important window, James, for Arsenal Football Club. And I think the interesting thing for me will be what they do with the attack, because the end of an era, Lacazette is going at the end of the month, joining Aubameyang. And this will be interesting to see what Arteta does in attack, because attack was failing this last season. And he's been there now, I think, for 6 transfer windows, 3 seasons. We're yet to understand what type of centre forward Mikel Arteta wants, and we're going to have some fun today looking at his options, aren't we?
Yeah, that's exactly it. And I think, we all do it as football fans. We want this player, we want that player, we should do this formation, these should be our tactics. We all, especially after a game, I think a lot of people say, well, it's very easy in hindsight. But I thought this is an opportunity for us to always put ourselves at the forefront and say, this is what we'd like to see, / kind of what we expect. Some of the shouts may be a little unrealistic. We've tried to keep it, sensible players that we've been linked with. So I think we go straight into it and look at the Arsenal squad that's currently available to us. So I take it straight to the tactical pad. 2 weeks without this, I've kind of missed it. Let's go straight into it because we've got the squad here. Now, what we've kind of done is kept the players we think essentially have a future at Arsenal, players that were involved in the squad to some degree last season. And this is what we're left with in a 4-3-3 formation. Of course, Ramsdale, I think it's a safe assumption that Leno won't be there next season. Could be. I haven't seen too many links, but I think it's a safe assumption that he won't be. And then you've got, for example, Balogun's come back in on loan. Pepe, again, I think maybe it's a safe assumption he won't be there, but I don't think with the price tag we paid to bring him in, I don't think it's a guarantee he's off this summer. But this is the squad. Where are the deficiencies for you when you see this?
Well, if I could start by looking at that squad very quickly. Leno's the goalkeeper. We know we're going to have 3 goalkeepers this season. We've got our right backs there, Tomiyasu and Cedric. We know that Cedric's going to continue as backup. Me personally, I would like to bin him and get another right back, but he's going to be, the squad is not a priority to fill that position. So you've got Cedric and Tomiyasu as your right backs. You've got Tierney and Tavares as your left backs. I think Tierney will stay. Obviously, we've got concerns over his injury. The amount of games he plays for Arsenal Football Club. I think Tavares will go on loan, so we're looking to bring one in. But at the moment, they are 2 left backs. We've got our 3 centre backs there: White, Gabriel, and Rob Holding. Saliba is coming back. We know that'll be our 4 centre backs. And then in midfield, we've got Partey and El Neni there. I would say Lokonga would be a centre mid as well.
Sure.
We've got Xhaka on the left side, Odegaard on the right. I'm looking principally to bring in another left-sided midfielder and potentially another centre mid who can possibly play on the right. And then in our wide front areas, you've got Pepe and Saka on the right. You've got Smith Rowe and Martinelli on the left. And as I say, Nketiah and Balogun are at the moment our 2 strikers. Nketiah's just signed that contract, which suggests to me that he's going to be more involved this season. He wouldn't sign a 5-year, 100 grand a week contract unless you had certain guarantees, of course. Sure. But I do think we need 2 forwards. I do think that we need a forward who can play across the front, a mobile forward, and also I think I'm looking for a centre forward as well. So I want 2 forwards, a left-sided number 8, another midfielder to complement Odegaard and Partey, a left-back who can fill in. I think Tavares will go on loan. I think he needs to go on loan. I think we need someone, bearing on Tierney's injury record, only playing something like 60% of the games, James. We do need someone who can fill that role. A mobile player who maybe could also shift into midfield. And that's why the Zinchenko links are very strong. Hickey's also been linked. And obviously Saliba coming back gives us options. We could play 3 at the back, or White could go right back. Saliba could play right-sided centre-half. So that's what the squad's looking at. He's looking at roughly 25 players. We know that Turner's come in as the second goalkeeper. Heaney's going to be the third goalkeeper. Yeah,
absolutely. I'll add to that for me, when I look at the problem positions, the big ones for me are productivity on this side of the pitch. In terms of the goals and assists and getting the raw numbers, I always mention that Gundogan back of the post run, that De Bruyne. And listen, it takes a great ball to find him, but it's that getting in the box and being a goal threat. And I think I see another problem, which for me... Oh, go on.
Yeah, I was just going to say, that's a great point you make. We want someone up high who's going to be able to play through balls,
Yeah.
but also who's very good at pressures up high, which is what the guy we're going to talk about this morning offers, which Granit Xhaka doesn't. Granit Xhaka, a very good passer, but not mobile, not great at pressures. So we want someone, I think, who's going to be more of a fit on that left-sided number 8 role he's been playing. To be fair to Xhaka, he's done reasonably well in that role.
Yeah, I think
out of his comfort zone. But I think we're looking for an upgrade. As you say, sorry.
No, I think you're spot on. That's exactly a big one for me. Another one is, I'm highlighting Saka, Nketiah, Smith Rowe, Martinelli, Tavares, Lokonga. Why? Not because I want them all gone. Because it's an over-reliance on youngsters for me. And I think a big thing for this summer is adding, especially when you look at that front three, those positions that we're relying on them to get us over the line. I think it's about adding the experience that's been there and done it as well. And that doesn't mean you're adding 28, 29-year-olds necessarily. We talked about Jesus is 25, for example. But I think it's about taking the load off them as well and not going into games thinking, if we're going to score, if we got a goal down and we need to find 2 goals, it's going to have to be our youngsters and our kids that get us through. So, yeah, I think we all agree on that. Let's just remind ourselves a little bit on how Arsenal play. We've got it here with the tactical setup, again, on the tactical pad. 4-3-3. Should remind us again how this kind of all sets up.
Yeah, I think this is going to be the formation he's going to go with this year. 4-3-3 is what we've gravitated to. I think the importance is around our 5 attacking lanes up high. I always talk about that. Yeah. And I think the way these 5 players interchange and move around is going to be key to the way Arteta wants to play. So I think you've got you'd have a left-sided number 8, a right-sided number 8. So Xhaka's been playing that left-sided number 8 role at the moment, and I know we're looking more an upgrade in that area. Odegaard on the right-sided number 8. Yeah. And then we've got our right-sided attacker, Saka, and then we've got our left-sided attacker, could be Smith Rowe, could be Martinelli, and then we've got like Nketiah as the forward at number 9, but someone who can drop deep as well. And to be fair to him, at the end of the season he was improving in that area, but we want possibly somebody who can do it probably a bit better. Yeah. And I think these 5 players is the key to everything going high. Yeah. Obviously there's going to be times where our fullbacks go high and offer the outlet up high when the wide forwards come inside. But I think the important thing is, James, around these 5 players, the movement around these 5 players, around your left-sided number 8, your right-sided number 8, your 2 wide players and your centre forward, the fact that they're all mobile, I think that's what Arteta wants in his front players. They're positionally good at being able to move around in a system, a free-flowing system. They're all comfortable in different areas in those front 5 positions where we can attack and get in and hurt teams. So I think that's what he'll be looking for this season, a centre forward who offers those qualities I've talked about, hold-up play, who can run in behind and maybe sort of move positions around. Jesse does that, of course. And a left-sided number 8 who's very good at winning the ball higher up, maybe good in pressures, and also being able to play better through balls, maybe, what Granit Xhaka can do in that position. Yeah, I completely agree. I'm going to sound like a broken record because how many times have I mentioned it in the shows we've done, but I really want as well, again, I kind of mentioned it with that left-sided number 8, but players that can impact and manipulate these areas really well, whether it's digging out across, whether it's that underlap when Saka pulls wide, whether it's getting shots off goal, whatever it is. We saw Odegaard score that fantastic goal on the last day of the season against Everton, and that was again because of the good work we'd done out on the right hand side. It opened up the pitch. Odegaard gets the ball, drops a shoulder, a bit of magic and scores, and I think we need to be more effective from these areas. Let me ask you about the fullback situation, Tierney and Tomiyasu. Do you think we'll be seeing them come inside again most of the season, sort of forming that shield with Partey, the inverted wing backs? I think what you'll see more is, I think Tierney is more the person who's going high. Tomiyasu more the inverted who would drop back in the 3. Tierney will be the one going high. So I think that'll be to their strengths. Tomiyasu can play up high, of course. He did it when he went on the left side in the games he played towards the back end of the last season, but he's a defender. He's more of a defender. Yeah. Whereas Tierney's strength is up high. The problem I've got is they're both so injury prone that last season Tomiyasu only played something like 22 games in the league, and Tierney only played similar, about 21, 22 games, and we were heavily reliant on Cedric and Tavares in those positions, and we were found wanting because of that, I think. So I think it's key also that we get a left-sided defender who can replicate what Tierney does, and also we're going to talk about somebody who can maybe do what Partey does as well. Yeah. But the key is that William Saliba coming back offers us something extra. It's all. I hate using that sign. An old player's like a new signing, but in effect, he offers us something now. He can either play in a back three if he wants to flip to a back three. If he wants to play White on the right side of a back three, Saliba and Gabriel, when we go to the more difficult grounds away from home, if we need to be more solid with a back three, with a 5 out of possession, or he can play as right-sided centre back because he is more right-sided. But also he could play even. I'm not against him possibly playing on the right side as well. He was very good on the right side for Marseille. Attacking down the right side. So he offers us a lot of options in our defensive areas as well to improve our defence. But I think the thing we need to talk about today is our attack.
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
our attack last season, we were creating chances and not scoring goals, James. And I think that's the area where I think is his priority this year.
I completely agree. Let's go into the stats of that, because you're right. Our attack was it was an issue for us because you could see Arsenal having a lot of the ball. You could see Arsenal, probing and looking like they might do something. But often we were lacking that cutting edge, weren't we?
We were. I think the problem we had, last year, we did with Odegaard being such high numbers in creating chances. We were creating chances. It's our shots off, goals from shots was just poor. It was reflected in Lacazette's numbers, and he scored 4 goals in 30 games, I think, but his actual shots are something like 2 out of 46. So that was incredibly low numbers. Yeah. And this shows you the actual where we ranked in the league last season. And this was a problem. If you look, we had 4th most shots, XG at 69.4, but we're only 6th in goals scored against XG. So we're low in goals scored against the XG we should be. And look at our conversion rate, James. Yeah, I think it was down there, and our XG differential at minus 8.4. That was down there with the lowest teams in the league, who ended up getting relegated. So that was the problem of the team last year. Yeah,
I completely agree, and it is about adding that potency, as I mentioned, taking the weight off the youngsters. I want to take it back to the tactical pad then, and we start building our squads. Let's start with yours. We've got Graham's squad here. Starts the same for everyone. Let's make these a little bit smaller, so everyone can fit on screen. There we go. Let's start with the goalkeeping situation. Aaron Ramsdale, the only goalkeeper we've got there. Now, I think it's been confirmed by the Athletic that Okonkwo is going to probably get a loan. Yeah. Leno, we don't really know what's going on, but I think we all assume he's on his way. Barely played this season. So going off to the additions, I think it's likely, well, it's not likely, it's confirmed we see Matt Turner come in. Yeah. And Hein as the 3rd goalkeeper, I think's pretty much been confirmed. So let's bring him in. Yeah, happy with that selection of goalkeepers?
Yeah, that's my 3 goalkeepers.
Cool.
As happy as I'm going to be.
Yeah.
So obviously I'm disappointed to lose Leno, because I think Leno, you can't expect a guy of that quality to remain back up. He has been a model professional for Arsenal Football Club. Yeah. And when he came in, he actually cut our last clean sheet. That's funny enough. But,
yeah, he did.
But so he's a great goalkeeper. Obviously, disappointed with losing him, but I'm quite happy and comfortable with those 3 goalkeepers.
Fantastic. Right, let's move into the defence now, because you've mentioned William Saliba's return. Actually, I want to talk about him a little bit more. We bring him back into the squad as one of the centre-backs. There's something about, we paid 27 million for him. He's gone out and done really well on his loans. But it does feel like a new signing, doesn't it? Because we knew he was so exciting when we signed him, but he seems to definitely be coming back much more the real deal in terms of having played for France, qualifying for the Champions League with Marseille. It's an exciting time in terms of our centre-back options. Yeah,
the fact that he's broke through into the French national team shows how far he's come on, how highly rated he is in French football. He had an outstanding season for Marseille. He was very high in all the numbers. Yeah. And I do feel as though it's a good that we're getting him back. I think I was a bit worried whether Arteta actually trusted him, believed in him. Yeah. You had stories coming out over the last year that he wasn't an Arteta signing, that he didn't fancy him. But he can't ignore the fact that the quality, and now he's even come out and said that his time now is to come back, and he's impressed with the way he's played in France. I was really pleased to hear that, James. Yeah. And his numbers last year in French football
got him here.
Reflected a really prominent and really good season.
Did he ranked first for almost all these things, didn't he?
Yeah, first in all.
I'm not sure about past success. Was that the best? But otherwise, he was at the top.
No, I think I sent you these stats. I'm pretty sure he's first. These are the numbers I looked at. I think he's first in all these numbers.
Unbelievable.
And these are for a centre back. Yeah. Let me just say, not for a centre back.
Not across every player in the league. Yeah.
So this is for centre back rankings in French football. So he's first in all his numbers. Pass success rate 93.1, absolutely outstanding. He wins possession back. Progressive carries, something Arteta wants in his centre half, and also successful dribbles, which shows also that he can play out, possibly out wide, and go forward on the right hand side.
Look how many times Ben White's done that.
But Ben White can do that as well. Yeah. So these are quality numbers that reflect the player we've got coming back, and I'll be really excited to see how he goes this year.
Yeah.
As I say, he can either play in a back four, even play in a back three.
Right, agree. So we're off to your first signing.
Yeah.
Now, we didn't really touch on right back. He said it's not really a problem position. I mean, you'd rather upgrade Cedric, but it's not.
I would upgrade Cedric.
Yeah.
Because last season I think a lot of the problems Rob Holding had in the back end of last season were because of Cedric, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So I would upgrade him, but he's not a priority, is it? And I think the club have said it's not a priority. So Tommy Asu and Cedric, fair enough. They're my two right-sided defenders. But it's the left side that's a particular worry for me.
Sure.
Because Nuno Tavares. He's got potential, very raw talent, blessed with great speed, and I think he will become a top quality player. But at the moment, I think he got into the side really early, and I think he was exposed a little bit.
Sure.
I think he does need a loan, which they're talking about. So I want to upgrade with someone of quality on the left side, possibly someone who could maybe sort of like play in different positions as well. And that's why, for me, I'm going to make Zinchenko my first signing I'd love to have in. The thing I like about him is his mobility, the fact that I watched him playing for Ukraine in midfield.
Yeah.
And he was outstanding. So he could even double up in midfield as well. He offers versatility, can play left side. Also, he didn't complain last year. He only played something like 10 games for Man City.
Yeah.
And he's a real quality player. So he would be my first choice. If we couldn't get him, Hickey would be my second choice, who plays in Italy, of course.
Yeah.
The important thing I think we need to understand is that Kieran Tierney needs to be managed. I think, and that's why the injury record is what it is. He's only played something like 2/3 of the Arsenal games since he's been at the club.
Yeah.
And that is really poor for numbers. And he was injured, as I say, for almost half the Premier League season. When we had a settled back five last year with Ramsdale, Tommy Asu, White, Gabriel and Tierney, we've talked about it on the previous Tactical Insight shows. Our record was outstanding. So I would like to have consistency in the selection, but this would, if Tierney needs to be managed or is injured, I feel confident that he could play that role.
Let's look at his numbers. Pass success rate of 90.7% in the league. Shots per game 0.8. Expected assists per game 0.17. Key passes per game 1.38. And goal creating actions per game 0.86.
Yeah,
he's a creative outlet.
He is, and I think that in Arteta's team, the left-sided defender is the one normally that goes more often than not is the one who goes high to assist on the left-hand side, and those reflect what he offers up high. So he is a quality footballer, James.
Yeah, he is.
Not just a defender.
And I'm glad he's had these international games to show what he's about in midfield, because he is looking for a move. I mean, I think that the latest news that we covered on AFTV was that Arteta's willing to offer him that midfield role. West Ham want him, but mainly as a left back. And I've got to say, looking at your squad so far, that is exactly what I'd do. I'd do exactly the same. I'd bring in Zinchenko if we could, because he can play that left-back central midfield role. And look, I think it was Arteta's words, we don't have unlimited funds. I think there's got to be a degree of being clever. Can you add quality that's going to aid you in multiple positions, especially when you're playing Europa League football? And actually, yes, there's a need to add depth, but there's going to be opportunities for youngsters to play, and we don't need to force it through with positions if it's not the right player.
How much are we valuing him at? About 25 million?
I put 25. That's maybe a little low. So would you thought 25, 30?
About 22.5 to 25, I think.
Okay, fine.
When I looked at my 4 or 5 upgrades I need, I've tried to do a budget about 150 million.
Yeah.
But I've gone slightly over that to get my 5th choice in. But I think if you're going to you're serious about getting back challenging at the top of the Premier League, getting back in the Champions League, you're going to need to spend a little bit more money on that, and that's why the owners have got to back Mikel Arteta. Yeah,
I completely agree. Right, we move into midfield, and now we start to have some fun, because this is all about the amount of times I've heard people saying we need a ball winner next to Thomas Partey. Other people saying we need creators. Some people think we need box to box. Some people think forget midfield, add the strikers. Midfield have been doing their thing. What's your first option?
Well, I think the real issue last season was, first of all, the way the team evolved up to the 4-3-3 is I think Granit Xhaka, been a great servant for the club, still can offer us something this season in experience and fitting in. but I would like to see us upgrade in that area. I think it's essential this season. If we're serious about sort of moving forward as a club in this formation he wants to play, I think we need to have someone who's very comfortable up high in that left-sided role. Someone who can play through balls, who can work, can move around around the midfield and up high, interchange with players.
Sure.
I think Yuri Tielemans offers that. And also he's very good at winning the ball up high.
Yeah.
Probably not great on recoveries and getting back, and that's been highlighted. But what he offers up high, I think, I'm not saying it outweighs, but it more than makes up for that side of his game.
Sure.
And I think football now is very much up high, winning the ball back and then getting in quickly. And I think that's what he's really good at. He would offer us balance on that left-hand side as a left-hand-sided number 8.
Yeah, I think that's it. I mean, they're quoting 25 million. He spoke about his future
Good value money,
in the coming days. Yeah, and I think a lot of people are put off by how his last season at Leicester went, but I wouldn't be. I think that's one of those where Leicester didn't impress as much as we thought they would. Therefore, there's kind of this feeling of, was he as good? Was it indeed? But actually, when you look at his numbers, and we're going to be doing some special shows on AFTV around Yuri Tielemans and some of the other players we're linked around, he's still a quality player. And I will add, he can play on the right, as well. If Odegaard got injured, he's got enough creative abilities-ish in terms of a good delivery.
And also, he can play in a pivot.
Yeah.
So next to Partey.
Yeah.
Partey on the right, him on the left.
Yeah.
So if we were playing like a pivot, a 2, he could fill in there as well. So he can play in a number of positions. Mm-hmm. You talked about last season. I prefer to remember the season before when he was absolutely outstanding.
Exactly.
And he capped it with that absolutely unbelievable goal in the cup final that won the cup. So he is a quality player.
No, I really like Tielemans. Yeah, I think
like
he's fantastic.
him. He's a good player. And I know he wants Champions League football would be his preference, but there are stories coming out that he would be open to possibly a move to Arsenal.
Yeah, well, there we go. We've added him to the squad. Let's look at some of his numbers. This is his ranking for Leicester. You sent these through. I mean, look, it just reminds you that he's still been very impressive for them at times.
Yeah, the two key that I talked about there for me, passes into the final third, something that is one of his great strengths that we need. And look at that, first for pressures. And football's all about winning the ball back up high a lot of the times, taking advantage of turnovers, and he's really good at that. Chance created second, tackles and interceptions third, but great set of numbers.
Yeah, absolutely. You want to add another midfielder now.
Yeah,
Talk us through
this is
him.
the person I really would like to have. Now, I know he's got a court case coming up, which a lot of people worry about, but I'm a massive fan of Basuma. And I think that I would like him to come. He could play in a midfield 2, or he could replace Partey. If Partey, to take some of the workload off Partey, or even if Partey gets injured. He's really good at tackles, interceptions and clearances, defensive side of his game. And I think he's somebody who's impressed me every time I've watched him play. And I would love to see him come.
He's better on the ball than people give him credit for, isn't he? When he's very kind of elegant, graceful with it. He can drive into space. I mean, I think he's kind of perfect for, in the coming years when Partey, hits his 30s or whatever. And actually not just for that, but for depth. He'd be a great option. For me, he's not a priority this summer. But I really like Basuma. I would be looking at him.
You talked about weaknesses of the team last year, James, and the problem is when Partey gets injured, he plays that lone 6 role.
Yeah.
You want someone who's physically strong, somebody who can pass the ball and also intercept and win tackles. We don't have someone who can do what Partey does. I think Basuma could do that role. He's a physically strong player. He would offer us that. And I think the weakness of the team last year was when Partey got injured and when Tierney got injured. That's why I want upgrades in those areas.
So, that's your midfield. So far...
I say upgrades. That's why I want players in those areas.
Well, upgrades to depth. So, absolutely.
Upgrades to depth, yeah.
So, here are your 3 signings so far. You've brought in Zinchenko, you've brought in Yves Basuma, and you've brought in Yuri Tielemans. So, let's save that as Graham's squad, because mine is slightly different in midfield. So, here we go. I agreed with Zinchenko. The only thing is, because I'm hoping Tierney manages to get on top of his fitness or whatever, sure, he's covering at left back, but I see him as my starting left-sided midfielder. I'm personally not going for Tielemans. Now, the reason I'm not going for Tielemans is not because I don't like him. I really, really do. If we sign him, I'll be very excited about it. I think for 25 million, it's a great deal. But and this is my wild card a little bit, guys. So I know it's going to come with that's not why would you go to Arsenal?
Left back then?
I wouldn't loan Tavares. I'd keep Tavares.
Would you?
So he could play the Europa League games.
What about if Tierney gets injured?
If Tierney gets injured, then Zinchenko will cover in the league.
Okay.
Unless we're playing 18th, 19th, 20th at home, where I think Tavares has done a job, to be fair. So for me, Zinchenko covers at left back in emergency situations, but I really like the idea of him in midfield. Then my other player, again, my slightly unrealistic one, but we'll go have a little bit of fun with it. And also, we've got to hold Arsenal to a high standard, people. We've got to expect big things of them. I would bring in James Maddison. That's the Leicester player I want. Now, it's not completely out of the realms of possibility. We were linked to him last summer. He's another year into a Leicester contract. I don't know when he last re-signed nor when he, will be expected to renew. But I just think James Maddison last season kept proving that he's got real output. He's got that ability to... In fact, if I just save this here and take it back to the tactical setup here, he's the kind of player, if we bring him in, Maddison, who when Odegaard, let's say Odegaard isn't available to play, Maddison attacks these areas so well, whether it's, pulling across, whether it's finding that whip ball to the back post. The sort of, how many times we've seen De Bruyne find that to the back post, and then that's when you'd want someone running in and, finding it, getting a header at the back post, Martinelli coming in as well. I think he's got tremendous output, and that is showed actually in his numbers, where I think he's got 12 goals for the season. Now, let me just have a little double check. We've got him here, 12 league goals this season, 8 assists, goal creating actions per game, 0.7. He's had 72 shots, and his final third passes per game, 2.89. I mean, he's really, really effective in the final third.
Well, he is, and also a very good free kick taker as well.
Exactly.
So I just wonder, what you say, how you'd fit him in the team. Are you bringing him in as squad depth? Because he's not going to come as squad depth, is he?
So
in a World Cup year, I know he's not part of the England plans at the moment, but he's not going to come just to sit there and not play. He's going to want to play, isn't he?
So again, this is where I think, and again, I'm playing around a little bit here. Zinchenko could play left back. Odegaard could actually play on the left side of the three, and Maddison. So you could have a starting... We're playing a bit of Football Manager here, guys, but I think you could have a starting three of Maddison, Partey.
But then you'd be taking away Odegaard's partnership with Saka on the right-hand side, aren't you?
True. Maddison can form a new one with him.
I mean, the only way around it is to change the shape, have him as almost like a number 10, but I don't think Arteta's going to go there. That's the reason.
Could you think he could play in the midfield three, Maddison? I think he could.
Well, he could play in the midfield three. It's just the question is, Odegaard is playing that role where he would play. Mm-hmm. So I like Maddison. Mm-hmm. I wanted him last season, I'll be honest with you, and I do rate him. But I just think Odegaard there on that side, I think. I just can't see it happening.
I do hear what you're saying.
And also, you're playing around with the dynamics of what we've got in the team that's working.
Yeah, no, listen, you're fair enough, and it was my wild card, and I fully expect Odegaard to keep playing.
I thought your wild card was going to be Dybala.
Well, that's coming very shortly. I do. Listen, I do expect Odegaard to ultimately be playing on the right of the three, and I do expect Tielemans to come. So, ultimately, I don't really think it's going to change that much. But I can't get it out of my head. This is probably the 50th time I've said this on Tactical Insight Show, that Arteta is he's looking at the Pep playbook, he's looking at the Pep model, and the amount of times they've played Rodri with De Bruyne and Bernardo Silva in midfield, or Foden in midfield, it just suggests to me it can be done, but are we good enough to do it? Because if you're not, then that's a very lightweight midfield. But, listen, it's... Anyway, it's a bit of a dream, but we'll see.
Where's your Dybala?
Well, exactly. Now we move into the forward line. So let's start with your players first. So we move to your squad. Back to Graham's. Here we go. Right, let's talk about forwards.
Right, I want 2 forwards, and I've tried to keep it within the budget, close to 150 million, around the 45, 50 million.
We've already splashed about, what's that, 80 million
25,
already?
55, 80 million.
Yeah, fine.
But I want to spend roughly another 90 million.
Cool.
And 170.
Why not?
Why not?
Stands money, so it's fine.
Yeah, so I'm bringing in, I want a forward who can play across the front line, and also I want a centre forward. And obviously the ones I want, we're not going to be able to afford, and I'll explain those in a moment. The 2 I'm going for are Gabriel Jesus of Man City. He's my player who can play across the front line. He can play on the right side. He played for Man City last season predominantly, but he wants to play at centre forward. I think getting into come to Arsenal, Arteta can offer him the position of centre forward if he wanted to. In a World Cup year where he plays for Brazil, he's want to be playing centre forward, not on the right side. But he can also play on the left side. He can play in a number of positions. Last season he played left side of Man City, right side of Man City, centre forward of Man City, but predominantly on the right side. He would be my first forward, but I would want a centre forward. And obviously within my budget, Scamacca, who's come to light this week, I think I've been watching a lot of him over the last week. Really impressed with what I've seen. Very intelligent footballer, good in the air, can come back deep, drop deep to link up the play, can play as a target man. I think he's everything that Arteta likes in a forward. And also, the thing I really like about him, he's very quick to pull the trigger when he gets near the goal.
Yeah.
And his shooting accuracy is top quality. And he's scored a number of goals in a low-ranking Italian team, and he's forced his way into the Italian national team. So I like the look of him. I would rather have probably Tammy Abraham. It's unrealistic. Chelsea got an 80 million release clause next season. It's going to cost us too much money. Osimhen is another quality player. He can carry the ball well.
Yeah.
Brilliant in the air, physical.
Would you want all of them over Scamacca if the budget allowed?
If the budget allowed, it would be Osimhen, Abraham, and
Darwin Núñez.
Yeah. They, as we were talking before, they would be my three.
Yeah.
But you've got to be realistic.
Sure.
And I think that he's the more realistic at his price. But he's still a quality forward. Only 23. I know we want to add a bit of experience around the team. And my players are, apart from Basuma, all 23, 24, 25. But I think that's what I'm going for. That will be my additions to my squad.
Shall we look at their numbers?
Yeah.
Gabriel Jesus, because as you mentioned, played on the right many times. We didn't mention Serge Gnabry actually, which was actually, you know what? Let's talk about Jesus. We'll go on to Gnabry in a second. But yeah, Jesus, 8 goals, 8 assists this season in the league, I believe. But you made this point here, the percentage of time he spent out on the right wing compared to up front.
I think those numbers would be higher if he played down the middle. What I liked about him is that the only thing that worries me about is slightly his efficiency when he gets that half chance in the penalty box is not quite so good. It might be because he's always out on the right wing and not down the middle. But I think for somebody who played more on the right side, the numbers are reasonably good. His goal contributions, 8 goals, 8 assists, but I'd want more from him than that. But as you can see, he played, there are his 3 main positions last year for Man City. Yeah,
absolutely. Let's talk about Scamacca. 13 goals in the 1920 season, 12 in the 2021, and 16 last season with a non-penalty XG of 10 goals, but he scored 5 in the league. So, yeah, 5 better.
What I like about him, James, is his actual...
I love that.
3.24
per 90.
But his shots outdo his XG.
Yeah.
That shows you how good he is, how accurate he is. So that's what you want in a striker. And he's getting better. 16 goals last year. He played for 3 clubs. But he's attracting a lot of interest now. And I think he's more likely to stay in Italy from what I'm hearing.
Sure.
But I like him. And, if we could get him, I think he would be my main target man at the price he is.
You mentioned Serge Gnabry when we were sort of talking about this and planning the show.
Yeah.
Here are just sort of his goals and assist tally since arriving at Bayern Munich. Well, since arriving, I can't remember if that was his first season, but anyway, the last 4 seasons. This is a guy who has real productivity from the wing, and we saw, 4 goals at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium? I mean, I'd love to see that in an Arsenal shirt.
Yeah, they beat them 7-2 on that night.
Yeah.
Just get that one in.
Yeah.
No, look, the thing I like about him is his actual goal contributions. He can play, as you say, on the wing, but he also can come central as well. And I think, he talks about sort of like, it would be, Lee Judges said it would really excite him. This would excite the fans if we brought him back.
Yeah.
Because he has been really doing the business in the German national team. His numbers for the German national team are outstanding. Seems to be surplus of requirements now at Bayern Munich, so I wouldn't be against that if they got that over the line. 45, 50 million, of course, was in our budget.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's take it back to the tactical pad then. So this is your squad. We've got your 3 goalkeepers. You've got your defensive options. I'm going to give you one more addition. Any academy players you want to see?
Probably the one I'll keep is Charlie Patino.
Yeah.
Who probably got in last season at Nottingham Forest, didn't have the best game, but I can see this being possibly a season where we could give him Europa League minutes. Charlie Patino will be mine.
Okay.
So I've got me 3 goalkeepers, I've got me 9 defenders, 8 midfielders, and 8 strikers. Is that over 25, isn't it? Over 25 man squad.
You're challenging my maths on the spot here.
3, 12, 15, 17, 20, 28.
That's fine. Got youngsters in there. Listen, you never know. Tavares might well go out on loan.
No. So obviously, no. Well, you put him in there, but Balogun's going out on loan.
Right, so Balogun's out on loan.
Tavares is going out on loan from my squad.
Would you loan Lokonga?
No, I'd keep Lokonga.
Okay.
So I've gone slightly...
So 26
players.
With a youngster.
With a youngster in. But, I mean, if you're holding me to 25, obviously I can't put Charlie Patino in the 25.
No, that's all right. Have it as big as you want.
The two players go out on loan. Patino comes in, makes 26. But that would be my 25 without Patino.
Okay. So I'm going to rattle through mine to finish off, because I agree that I'd be bringing in Gabriel Jesus. I really like him. Do you know the only thing for me, I don't know whether City would really sell us Zinchenko and Jesus in one summer. It just feels like, I'm not saying City see us as a rival, they don't. But do you still want to be kind of tempting fate and selling kind of two squad players who had a big part to play at the end of last season, to a club that, listen,
well, we're
nowhere near their level, but we are on the up.
You have to see where they're at, though.
Sure.
They're bringing in Cucurella from Brighton, by all accounts.
And
if Cucurella and Haaland.
Yeah, they're not worried about that.
They're not worried about it, are they?
Yeah.
And also, Zinchenko and Jesus wants to play football. If Haaland's coming in, he's not going to stay at Man City in a year where World Cup's in Qatar at the end of the year. He wants to be playing first-team football. They're bringing in Haaland, so they probably... And I think that a gentleman's agreement will be there that if I bring in Pep would say, I'll bring in a top quality striker, I'll let you go now.
Sure.
So he could go. And the same with Zinchenko. If they bring in Cucurella, I mean, Pep loves that Cucurella at Brighton. He's a quality player. And he's only playing 10 games a season anyway. So he's playing even less games. So they might. And of course, you like to think that the relationship between Arteta and Pep is reasonable, that he would be not against allowing us to sign those two players. Under one condition, of course, he backs off on Bukayo Saka.
Yeah, actually, do you know what? Maybe we can agree to that.
We don't want to get in a position where they say, you'll have these two players this year and we're coming for Bukayo in the next couple of years.
I'm not agreeing to that. I'm going to take Saka out for a sec and show Jesus just on the right wing here. The one thing, you're right, that he was doing for City so often was peeling wide. And when that ball was basically threaded through the lines, Kyle Walker was very good at finding that pass to them. Yeah. He is so often there to make that sort of out to in run, and there were always
and often he was even turning up at the back post as well in some games, James.
Yeah.
But the thing I think with Jesus is he can play centre forward, but if we were to buy a target man, he could play on the left side sometimes and Saka could play on the right. Yeah. So he's very versatile, there's flexibility there. He's someone who can play right across the front line. I like that.
I agree. I'm going to take it back to my squad now.
Is Dybala in it?
Yeah, here we go. So this is my final signing, and this was my thinking around it. Okay, I've gone for Dybala because I think we already Arsenal. The rumours are that Arsenal are interested. Wages might be a problem, but I don't think that there's a plethora of offers for him right now.
Does he want Champions League?
He might, but we'll sell him a vision and a project. My thing with Dybala, if you can bring him in, it was only like a year or two ago that he was considered, a really kind of exciting option. His numbers are still good. He's still got 10 goals and 5 assists this season, and has been sort of quite consistently, delivering for Juventus. I don't watch Serie A that often, so I'm sure people who watch it will be telling me, he's not the same player, or he's not been as good or whatever. But you can't tell me that over a year or two, you just drop and suddenly that quality is not there anymore. He's a good age, I think 26, 27. I think it's worth a gamble on a free transfer, provided you're not breaking the wage structure to bring him in. And I think the fact that he's coming on a free transfer allows for that slightly more marquee signing in of James Maddison. And that's why, realistically, I'd want a Rafinha, or I'd want, maybe a target man, and Jesus can play out wide. But being a free option, I would be looking to get that deal done if it makes sense for us.
Are you keeping Balogun then?
No, so I'll get onto that in a sec.
But the only thing I'd say against Dybala is his work rate off the ball.
Okay.
It doesn't probably, and they do look at these numbers. Arteta will look at all these numbers, and that's why he likes Tielemans. Sort of pressures off the ball. But I think he's not a great presser, and I think Jesus is a great counter presser.
Sure.
The players that I've put in my squad are better complete on and off the ball. Yeah. Sort of players that he would like. So,
no, I think you're absolutely right.
I do agree with you. He would be a great player to watch on the ball, but are we getting sort of like a player there who's not that great off the ball? And Mesut Ozil, for all the quality he had, that was one thing that Arteta didn't like about him, the way he was off the ball.
Sure.
And that was always one of the criticisms levelled at Mesut. He couldn't do it off the ball. I loved Ozil myself. He's a great player. And I think Dybala's a great player. It just boils down to the Premier League now. It's not only what you do on the ball.
No, I hear what you're saying. But then I'd add to that the Premier League also, when you look at the Cities and the Liverpools of this world, even Chelsea with Kai Havertz, we're not seeing too many target men and out-and-out number 9s, which is
true.
why to have Dybala and Jesus as options, because
point.
we know Dybala can be one of the strikers, I think that would be less of a changing of what we've been doing, the system we've been trying to play. But look, I'm going to get this out now. Graham's is far more realistic and far more on trend with what we've been seeing in the rumours. I'm going for something that is, I think, at a push doable, but I think still remains unlikely. I think you're right. He'll go somewhere.
How much have you spent then?
So I've spent 25 plus 55. That is 80 million.
How much is Dybala?
He's a free transfer.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, exactly. 80. So then I spent 135. So you know
spent
what?
There's a little bit less than me.
Well, that was the theory. Listen, you could chuck another. Say Maddison's another 10. Say Zinchenko's another 10. Say Jesus another 10. You're still kind of
I don't think Basuma's realistic, to be honest. I just don't think they're looking at him. So if you look at my options, Scamacca, Jesus, Tielemans, and Zinchenko, that's about 130 to 135 million, which is under my budget.
Yeah.
But obviously with Basuma it would take me over my budget, but I do think we need it.
Yeah.
I would settle for those 4 at least. And then I would have to put Charlie Patino in my 25.
I would loan Balogun. And I think those would be my options. The fact that Dybala could play on the right and take some of the weight off Saka is one big thing. I'm not even opposed to selling Pepe, but we're not going into the sales of the rest of the squad. For example, Rob Holding. Yeah. I'm going to add one more. My youngster, my young academy pick, Norton Cuffy.
Yeah.
I think he had a great loan at Lincoln. And I just think we've got Europa League football. Why not? It's a good opportunity. He's got the physical stature. He's a very good modern fullback. Yeah, I'd be giving him the minutes. So that is my final squad. So let's save that and then just remind ourselves of all the business we've done. So we've got our 3 goalkeepers. Matt Turner's coming in anyway. I've promoted Norton Cuffy. Saliba's obviously added to the squad. Those are our 4 centre-backs. I will add that Tomiyasu can be one of the centre-backs as well. Yeah. You got Tierney and Tavares with Zinchenko able to slot in as a left-back, you know, for the big games where maybe you don't trust Tavares quite yet at a raw age. I've got Partey and El Neni as my holding midfielders. I've got Maddison and Odegaard, although I do think they can play together. Lokonga, Xhaka, Zinchenko as a left-sided midfielder as well. I'm not opposed to a Lokonga loan. I'm also not opposed to a Xhaka sale. So if that sort of position gets depleted in terms of depth a little bit, I'm not completely against that. Obviously, you've got Patino as well. Saka and Pepe, but again, I'm not opposed to a Pepe sale, in which case Saka and Dybala will be my 2 wide forwards. Nketiah, Jesus with Dybala able to play as the number 9 as well. Martinelli also able to play as the number 9, and Smith Rowe and Martinelli as my left forwards. It's unrealistic, isn't it? But we're having a bit of fun. All right, let's go into Graham's. That's my squad. And we're into Graham's. Let's remind ourselves of what you've done, Graham. You're happy with the 3.
Yeah.
And then that's your back four with Zinchenko in as a left back to compete with Tierney.
Yeah.
You brought in Basuma to give some just added quality when Partey's missing. You've added Tielemans for the 25 million. That does look like a deal that might get done. You've promoted Charlie Patino, who will compete with Odegaard. I like that, 2 kind of creative left-footed players who can compete for that position. Jesus, who can be your wide forward. Again, likely him and Saka will rotate that role. Pepe probably won't get too many minutes there. Eddie and Scamacca, you've added your target man number 9. We know Jesus can play up front as well. And again, Smith Rowe and
I'm
Martinelli.
sending out Tavares and Balogun on loan.
There we go. So those are our squads.
Yeah.
Guys, I beg, please don't take this too seriously. We're having a little bit of fun, but we hope we've provided some numbers that at least support why we want these players. I think we've kept it in line with, what we've been linked with. I mean, even Dybala and Maddison have been linked with Arsenal in the past. And I think we've kept it also in line with what we think Arsenal want to do, the system Arteta plays. If this was purely scrap everything, what do you want to see? This might be a different video. You're talking Saliba maybe in a back 3. You may be talking some more wide forwards, whatever it might be. But this is very much trying to keep it in line with what we expect might happen. So big thanks for joining me, Graham.
Cheers, James.
Really, really enjoyed it. Guys, get in the comment section of this video. Let us know who you bring in. Keep it semi-reasonable, but we'll have a bit of fun as well, as I did with Dybala and Maddison there. And let's see what Arsenal do, because The window technically opens in 2 days, but business is starting to ramp up now, and I think we're going to hear more about Jesus and Tielemans in the coming days and weeks. So let's hope Arsenal get some done. I hope you've enjoyed this. If you have, let us know. What do you think of this new format, by the way, with the TV standing up? We're exploring new ideas for the new season. Big thanks, like and subscribe, and see you next time.
Shop for AFTV merch at shop.aftv.co.uk. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, Snapchat and Twitch. We've got content for every platform, so check it out.